Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here at Painted Studio. Thanks for joining me on a Tuesday afternoon. It is hot and stormy here. I gave up on the hair today, all of it. So you're getting a little odd view of me today, and that's because I'm working on my little table here to work on fun things. Now, I'm going to take a moment and get myself onto my Facebook page here to make sure that we are connected correctly, if for nothing else. Give me just a second, see if I'm popping up on the page. Yes, we are. Hey, Maddie. Hey, Diana. Nice to see you here with me. All right, let's turn the volume down on my iPad. We'll open up the screen because once I'm moving around this table, I will not be looking up. Let's see. People are texting me and I can't see them. So this is the desk that you've seen me working on. You saw me doing the drawers. It's kidney bean shape, a mid-century modern piece, but the finish was shot on it. The leather top on it was shot on it. So you saw me doing the cleaning, the stripping, the repairing, the sanding, whatever had to be done. And now we're doing the decorative part. Now, I know you saw me do one of the drawers where we did the stencil in black and then we did gold over it. And now you're kind of getting a better view of what this is going to look like as a whole desk. Sorry for the wobbling. I'm just trying to give you a better idea of the whole view. So, but that means we do still have to do the rest of this. Now, I've done the majority. Sorry, my table doesn't want to turn so easily today because it's not evenly weighted. You can see I did the black on the back here. There we go. Lean a little bit on this side because all the weight is forward. Pull it back, that will help it turn better. So I did here. The one part I haven't done is this side. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to show you how I did this. It's not terribly complicated. All right, let's get this, make sure you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to angle this a little differently. Oh, thanks, Desiree. And how are you today on a rainy Tuesday? Okay, so I need to find about the middle of my desk. Let me see if I can slide this tripod back just a pinch so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry for the wiggle, it's on the gooseneck. Okay, so normally, if I was really being OCD, I'd take this, I'd do straight drop lines, I'd center it, I'd make sure it's perfectly level. I don't work that way. I tend to work a little more freehand for the most part. So I'm going to take my fingers, and if you don't think about this too hard and you do this, this basically gets you into the center with no problem. So here's my center here. Mark it with my fingernail. Then I come back and I do that about the same. Now this isn't 100% perfect, but it works well enough for what I'm doing because I don't need it to be perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is find my little, this is our stencil, this is our batik stencil, the same one we've been using. I'm going to take one of these little flower centers and stick my thumbnail through it so that I can find where I want that centered, and then I eyeball it. And I'm generally pretty good with level. And when I'm not, well, then I owe people apologies. Okay, so I've already put spray adhesive on here. You can see it's sticking, no problem. I have stashed my stencil brushes here in a little plastic baggie to keep them damp, so I didn't have to wash them and hope they were going to dry out in time, etc. All right, forgive the wobbly movements. Oops, that just fell. Didn't mean for that to happen. And let's get our stuff back where it belongs. Level me out. There's a little tiny bit of gold on the back end of the stencil, so that actually helped me reposition here. Okay, I probably could use a little more adhesive on the back of this, but At the moment, I'm just going to grab some tape, and of course this will probably hit the ground before I put the tape on it. So you can watch me center it again. I don't generally like to use a lot of tape with my stencils. I somehow manage to get the tape all squirrely and it doesn't sit the way I want it to most of the time. So I'm much more of a spray adhesive person on my stencils, and I probably need a little more. All right, let me get my little palette thing for the black. Again, nothing fancy, we're just using the lid. Let's see, I'm gonna drop this down just a little so you can see what I'm doing better. Give me just a second. There you go. And then I'm gonna move everything this way a little bit. Okay, there, you should be able to see that a little better. Okay, so we're using black set coat from Faux Effects, and I'm just pouring a little tiny bit into my palette tray here, my little plastic lid. Literally, little tiny bit. I'm taking some on my brush, working it into the bristles. I have some rags down here so I can tap it and offload a little so it doesn't get really thick and gooey and bleed. And then I'm just coming in, and I'm doing this right-handed, and I'm a lefty, so that's how simple this is to do. The biggest challenge is not to overload the brush so it doesn't bleed under the stencil. If I can do this right-handed, and I'm a lefty, you can all do this dominant-handed. Don't forget to get those little registration marks in there. I'm going to make sure everything gets marked properly so that you can adjust your stencil as you need to. The only reason I was doing that right-handed is so that because I'm left-handed, I'd have to reach completely across the camera, and it would have been really awkward to watch. So we're going to do this whole side, and then we're going to start in the gold on the other so you all can see how I do that. Now I know you saw it on the drawers, but sometimes it's nice to see it while I'm doing the repeat so you get the understanding of how to move stencils around. And you know, this is a batik pattern, and it's very organic and a little irregular in the cuts and stuff. So if it bleeds a little, it looks normal, although, you know, I try not to get any bleeds, but it happens. Okay, let's move this. So you can see there's black on there, and you can see that there is gold on there because it came off the back of here. But by the time I'm done, you won't even see that, so it doesn't matter at the moment. But if you're one of those who does not like to see that sort of thing, wash your stencils off between colors. If I had been really thinking on it, I would have probably chosen to wash the stencil, but I literally was using it a couple minutes ago in the golds, which is why there's a little gold depositing. But by the time I'm done, you won't even see that part. So let's move this way. And you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna switch spots. I'm gonna move the camera. Sorry for anybody who's about to get seasick watching this. I'm trying to move it slowly so nobody gets queasy. And let's move back, because now I can get, whoa, the bobbling makes me queasy to watch it in front of me, and I'm not watching it on the screen. All right, so let's get more of our stencil in. Oh, this is gonna look so good. Now you notice I'm swirling in both directions, and that's for a very specific reason. If I go this way, I hit up against these edges and I might not always get it down. If I go the other way, then it hits up against the other edge and doesn't go all the way down. So if I keep switching directions, I actually get a nicer bit of line at the edges of the stencil. It doesn't end up looking like I forgot part of it. It doesn't look faded. Because now I'm working it so that the brush goes on all edges of the openings. And that's really what the swirling back and forth does. That way you don't miss a spot right along the edge of a cutout, and then you have to put the stencil back down and go, oh God, I forgot that spot. And you just didn't swirl the stencil brush in both directions to get the holes completely filled in. Okay, oops, sorry, kicked that. Okay, so I have my center part started, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to back this up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I take this little branch, this little funny cutout right here is part of this cutout right in here. So if I line that up, then it lines up with the other pieces like it, and I can just tap this down with the tape right here and fill in the holes. Now, if I wanted this to be really tight in here, I would cut my stencil in half right here and get it. Once I'd gotten all my hole completed, I would have just done this part, cut it apart so I could get it all the way down in there. But that's not what I'm aiming for today. That's not as big a concern to me. Now, when you are lifted off like this from the lip of the desk or something like this, because there's about a 1/4 of an inch lip out here, make sure your stencil brush is really dry, because you will have little gaps that you're working with. And if your brush is dry, you don't get bleeds. If it's wet, really full of paint, oh hell, you'll get really nasty bleeds. All right, there's that. And I missed some here. I just put my stencil right back down, get a little more paint on my brush, get down in here into the edges. And see, once you're in it, it goes quite quickly. All right, let's turn this way. Oops, sorry, I keep kicking the tripod with my foot. So I still have this spot right up here to do. So I need to get the stencil. Where is my flower center? Right there, okay. Alrighty. That's lined up. And I'll do the outer edges once I get everything else done. I just don't want to accidentally cause fresh wet paint up here to bleed. Oops. Let's take that little piece off there, put it right there. And as you can see, it just doesn't take that much paint. It just takes a little effort. But that part of what I'm doing now is showing you how you move a stencil around when you have an all-over type pattern, as opposed to say, a medallion pattern, where you're just placing the medallion wherever you want. When you have an all over repeat pattern like this, you have to learn to move the stencil around, which is why stencils have registration marks. These little things that I paint like this, that's part of the pattern here, but it's also a registration mark, so I can move the stencil around and not have my pattern out of whack. Okie dokie, so let's put this here. Come on, get in there. It doesn't want to sit on here the way I know it can. It will if I get it lined up right. There we go. I'm also trying to make a point of not putting tape on fresh paint because I don't want to ruin the work I just did. Okay, little more. Let's angle that down so you can watch me. Okay, there's that spot. All right, got that one in. So the next thing then I have to do is come up to the top and get this area. So let's do it this way where I'm sitting right here. So again, this little mark here and here and here, they're all part of this part of the stencil. So now I have to move the stencil up, line it up on top, and then I'm gonna have to hold it really well because this is clearly not something that's gonna be happy at this very second with what I'm about to do. The stencil just doesn't want to hold to the surface. That's what I mean by the stencil's not happy. I just didn't cut it up. So, well, and the reason I didn't cut it up is because I need to use it for an overlayer. Now, if I was doing this on a job site or for a customer, I would have bought 2 stencils, but these are my studio stencils. I try not to cut them up because I never know when I'm going to need them. Okay, that should be good. A little more right there. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. A little bit of fuzz there. All right, let's line this up again. Come on. Nice, nice, nice. In you go. There we are. Set up. Okay, this is where the contortions for me start because I get tired of holding the stencil. So I have to find a way to do it and not have my arms fall off. Now, probably a little more spray adhesive might have been nice at this point, but that's not what I put on here. So that's okay. I'm just going to work with what I did. And let's see. I just accidentally let that slip, which I was really trying not to do, but oh well. Poop happens. Okay. There. Come on. Almost there. Oh, that's good. That's really coming out well. Oh, I'm pleased. Yay. Okay. I'll check where I am positioned on the screen so I can make sure you all can see what I'm doing. Yes, you can see me. Oh, if I look like I'm squinting, I'm actually not. When I get warm, my glasses slide down my nose, so I'm constantly making that Tina Turner squint face to get my glasses back up my nose. That nicely done. Now let's line that up here. That right there. Tape there. A little tape here. Okay, so now I just have this little spot here and this little spot here to do. So I just take my stencil, line up that spot, line up all the other openings, take a little paint if I can reach it, and just go right into it right here. That, and then I need to do the same thing right here. Come on, get in there. Come on, open up. There we go. A little more paint. Now again, like I said, if I was doing this in production or on a job site, I'd have cut this into pieces to make it easier to get into these corners. However, like I said, it's a studio stencil, so I kind of like to keep this one particular one in one piece for a while. All right, let's get this all lined up. Come on, why are you being a pain in the butt? There we go. And we're done. So that's done that way. So next thing I would do normally, take this, wash it off, let it dry. However, our paint is dry enough on here that we can do the next spot that I would normally be doing. So you can see I've already done the drawers with the gold on them like that. And that is super pretty. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I got to that. And I do have all my brushes and paint, so don't everybody get all worried. It's not one of my less organized. I'm actually a little more organized than it looks like. It's not an easy position for me to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my stencil, line it back up. I got to find my hole here. There we go. There's that. So that now has completely blanked out the paint that I put on there. To get the gold on, I want to do this like a little drop shadow. So I'm going to take it and move it just maybe 1/8 of an inch on a diagonal. All right, let's Let's make sure I got this all going the way I want it. There we go. And you can check your placement and stuff by looking at the open space that you'll see of the undercolor. Sorry, I got to go around, get my brushes, get my paint. I'm going to take a second here and look down and scroll and see if I'm missing any questions. Doesn't look like it. Everybody seems to be understanding what I'm talking about, which makes me happy because sometimes I don't understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's our stencil back. I'll shove you back just a little bit. Okay, we are using Faux Metal in Pale Gold. Faux Metal is a paint product from Faux, and I don't have it in its original jar. I have it in the pour-off jar because I drop jars, so then I have to put them in new things. But it's Faux Pale Gold Faux Metal, and as you can see, it separates. So you have to stir it up. There's a lot of real metal in there. There's a lot of actual brass and other metals in these. When you get the Faux Metal, they are designed to go outside, interior, exterior rated. Can be used without a top coat. However, on a piece of furniture like this, I'm going to want to top coat it for usefulness. So faux metals in the golds cannot be top coated with a regular water-based top coat because the brass in here, which is real metal, will tarnish. If you look in here as it separates, that liquid in there wants to turn a little greenish. So if you top coat it with a water-based top coat, this metal will turn bright green. So what I do on stuff like this is I use a solvent-borne acrylic. I'll take I can use Krylon Crystal Clear, or I can use a Dux solvent acrylic and cover this area specifically, and then I can go back and use my Faux set coat. My Faux Varnish Plus water-based furniture top coat right over it because it's acrylic, so it won't have a bonding issue, but because it will have been coated with a solvent-based top coat and sealed up, the moisture will not go through and cause this to tarnish. I know that's a mouthful, but it's the issue of dealing with real metals, and that's what we're dealing with. Real metals, when you put water-based top coats over them, can tarnish. So the way to avoid that is use a solvent-borne top coat. But if you need to use, acrylics, again, I will just use it in a limited space on here. Then you can go over this with a water-based because you're going acrylic to acrylic, even though the bases are different solvents. Your question would be is if you wanted to seal this with an oil-based product like polyurethane and then top coat it. You can't do that. You can't top coat it with acrylic over polyurethane, but you can go solvent acrylic over regular water-based acrylic over solvent acrylic. Now, there's always going to be the exception to the rule. There's always going to be something that doesn't work that well. So always test what you're doing. This is going to be so pretty. All right, let's get some more in here. And you can see I'm using a smaller brush this time, just because it helps me control the gold a little better. All right, let's pull this out, see how we did. And the nice thing is, if this really comes out awful, I can just paint right over it. But it came out so pretty. Oh, the nice little bit of drop shadowing there. Oh, I'm very pleased, very pleased. Now, I am not going over this part right now because you can see that I have wet spots. So the way I normally do this, because faux metal can take a little longer to dry, I will do sort of work around it And then once I'm sure it's dry, then I can shift things around and do another stencil. All right, let's get this in here right. There we go. Oh, that's going to be very nice. All right, let's put that there. And I'm probably going to need a little more foam metal because I'm starting to run out. I take out as little as humanly possible because it separates even sometimes as I'm working on it like I am now. Not all the time, just sometimes. All right. Let's get that spot there. Let's get all of this here. This is so pretty. I love this pattern. I have been thinking about this pattern on this desk for months and haven't been able to get near it with all my other commitments, and now I'm finally getting to get this desk finished. And I love the Faux Effects deep blue set coat. It's such a pretty color. Let's get this on here. And yes, you can get tired stenciling because this is fairly energetic painting, I want to say. It's not like you're sitting still and going slowly and gently. You're putting a little muscle behind this, you're putting a little speed behind this. So yeah, definitely on big stencil jobs, I've gotten so tired. I've done all over stencils like this detailed, this complex, in whole rooms. So I have a lot of practice doing this. I've learned what to worry about, what to let go of. Oh, I like this. This is so pretty. We're going to finish up this pass with the stencil and we're going to call it a day. Because I have some other work to catch up on too. Oh my gosh. Let a few things dry. Now, faux metal is very different from any other water-based metallic product you can get your hands on. You cannot thin this stuff with water. You can't thin it with alcohol. It will react funny to some top coats. So, you know, the other cool thing though is that when it dries, you can take a soft towel and rub it and it gets shinier. So this is a material that I love, use all the time, but I understand its limitations too. I understand the ins and outs of it. So if you have any questions about this product, do not hesitate to ask me because I will make it clear what the deal is with this. All right, let's take that down. Oh, that's so pretty. So as you can see here, now what I've done is basically created a drop shadow. You've seen me do other stencils where I take a fine brush and I outline everything with either a shadow or a highlight or both. What this does, this gives me the drop shadow I want. Now, if I needed a highlight, what I do is I'd shift the stencil. I do the black, then I'd do a highlight color, and then I'd place the gold right in the middle, because then that would give me 3 layers, because this is going to save me a whole lot of work. All right, everyone, let me come around here to you. All right, push my glasses back up on my nose, see if anybody's got any questions. I think we're all good. All right, everybody, thanks for popping in today. I'm sure you're all excited to see the giant bag of peanuts behind me for packing. Do not hesitate to ask any questions you might have. If you don't feel comfortable asking them in a live, you can always DM me. You can always post it in a separate, or you can email me. We have all that information available to you. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.